Welcome back to Fox and Friends. This is new overnight. The Senate approves the $1.2 trillion spending bill, narrowly averting a government shutdown after missing the midnight deadline by 2 hours.
This comes a day after the House passed that mammoth spending bill, and many Republicans, including our next guest, says the bill falls short in addressing key priorities the GOP has advocated for.
So here to discuss is New York Congresswoman and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, thanks for being with us this morning. We can take a look at some of the bill which kept the Senate up all night. This is some examples of what Congress has now passed. $368,000 for a podcast, I think featuring Senator John Fetterman. $1.4 million solar energy project in Wisconsin. $2.5 million on a new kayaking facility in New Hampshire. $4 million on Alaskan king crab enhancement project. You know, I think the question, Congresswoman, is, you know, we kind of have this debate around electing a president and, you know, whether or not it was Vivek Ramaswamy running for president or President Trump talking about really cutting back on the infrastructure of Washington, D.C. And then we see this kind of stuff. It's like, is it ever possible to actually trim D.C.?
Well, it is, and this is a really tough process. And as you know, we're about to go down to a one-seat majority in the House of Representatives. So although there were a lot of good things actually in this bill, which no one ever talks about, good things for the Department of Defense with our military. My son serves in the Marine Corps right now, and there are a lot of good things in there. For me, the biggest issue is the border, and I think a lot of people care about the border. I have the northern border. We started the Northern Border Security Caucus. The facts came out last fall that 85% of the people on the terror watch list are actually coming across our northern border. And one of the real disheartening moments in our country was when Laken Riley got killed. And that is so important because she was in New York, or the killer, the illegal immigrant who had a criminal record and ties to gangs, was released because of New York laws. And because of these terrible laws that we put in place in New York against our federal government, against ICE, against detainment. Had we had laws in place like the Laken Riley Act that we supported, she wouldn't have been killed. This killer wouldn't have been able to go to Georgia. So these are really important laws, which is I celebrate former Congressman, my colleague, Senator Ted Budd, for trying to get those amendments in. But two things in all of my discussions across the northern border with all of our Customs and Border Protection, our police, everybody that we have done across my gigantic district in upstate New York have been two things we need to do that are in H.R. 2, the Republican signature bill. Get Remain in Mexico back in place and stop catch and release. Those are the two things that would make a tremendous difference at our border. And I saw earlier Rachel referencing that scene at the border. That is going to be the scene of the election. That is what is going to get President Trump elected. And if we can stick together in the House of Representatives and be a unified force, we can actually grow our majority and make sure we take back the Senate. But right now we have a compromise majority when we go to negotiate with Chuck Schumer, and that's what makes it so difficult. But those two things we weren't able to get in this bill, and I know the Speaker tried. He couldn't get them in because we don't have a unified force coming from the House. But for my district and New York and the crime and the border problems we face in this state, mostly due to the Democrats' policies, one-party rule in Albany, but also because of our failure to enforce this border. That's why I voted no. But there were good things in the bill that we should talk about. But look, this is tough with divided government, with the Democrats controlling. And I don't mean to, but I think it's really important. I'm seeing shutdown trending all over the internet, and it's important. If we shut down the government with this decrepit Soviet-style leader in the White House, Joe Biden, who looks like, you know, just propped up by probably all kinds of bureaucrats behind him and staffers, who really doesn't know what's going on, that concerns me. But if President Trump were in the White House and we shut the government down as we did in 2017, I don't think the American people have to worry, because he's not going to inflict the pain that these Democrats and Joe Biden would on the American people. And I think that's an important distinction. And I worry what they could have done or would do if we did shut the government down.
It seems to me, Congresswoman, that they are always holding like military spending over the heads of Republicans in order for them to do stupid things like you know, they're funding they gave back funding to the WHO. I mean, it just seems like the whole way we do it is weird. Like, why don't we just have a bill that goes, let's fund for the military? And should we give money to the, I mean, just these huge packages, to me, just make no sense. And maybe at some point, you guys will figure out a way to do it differently. I know that you say that Speaker Johnson is trying hard, and he did the best he could with what he had. Marjorie Taylor Greene just filed a motion to oust the speaker. What are your thoughts on that? And where does the Republican conference stand? Is she alone on that? Does she have allies in this process?
Look, a lot of people were upset about the nature of the bill, and we do need to change how we do things in Washington, but we have. But unfortunately, we don't have enough of a majority. So all we need is one or two people on our side of the aisle to object. And the speaker walks over to Senator Schumer and says, I don't need to negotiate with you. You don't have anyone. You don't have anyone. You don't have a majority. Nancy Pelosi could always count on a majority. Even AOC, who made tons of money, had many more followers in AOC, was a force herself. She understood power. And she didn't buck Nancy Pelosi. She stood with her because she knows that being in the majority matters. And what's going to happen to us, Rachel, if we're not in the majority, that is the end of all of our oversight of the Biden administration, corrupt and terrible as it is, the end of impeachments. So we've got, I mean, these things are terrible. None of us support this. Speaker Johnson is the most MAGA, most conservative speaker we're going to have probably in our lifetime. And he is trying to put a very fractured House together. Remember, we've been through a lot over last year. I think you know, this is unfortunate, but we've got to grow our majority. We've got to stick together. The whole world depends on us. The world depends on us right now. The wars in the Middle East, the war in Europe, all these things are things that would never have happened under President Trump. And so we're relying on that. And I hope people understand that as we move forward. But thank you for covering this important issue. You know,
your message about, you know, cutting spending and dealing with the border, that is not only good governance, that's a winning message for the next election and for forever. And you know, it's pretty frustrating, I think, for a lot of voters that Republicans, the party they expect to do this stuff, seem to have such a hard time wrapping their brain around that message.
Yeah, we're not going to get a home run every time. We're going to have to hit a lot of singles and get ourselves through the World Series here. But I think we can do it. We just have to stick together. Most of the people in the conference agree. And I understand Marjorie is upset. She didn't actually go through with a motion to vacate. But that does not help us. I got to tell you, I landed yesterday and someone in the grocery store said, what's she thinking? We've got to stick together. We're counting on you as Republicans to save our country. And so I get it. We need to cut spending. I come from New York, the highest tax state in the nation. This immigrant crisis is costing us billions of dollars of taxpayers. Who's paying for it? New York taxpayers, because the Democrats are taxing us. So we've got it. It's an economic issue. It's a security issue. It's a winning issue, but we care about the American people, and we want to make sure we're protecting them.
All right, Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.